When you hand over your power, you become as volatile as the system you handed it to. Because when it shifts, you shift. When it retreats, you have to retreat. When it disappears, you're left scrambling. I'm Carolyn Parrs, communicator, coach, and host of Just Power, a podcast about creating a clean energy future without leaving anyone behind. Join me as we explore the technologies, policies, and human stories that can make clean energy not just sustainable for our planet, but accessible for everyone. Well, here we are. Season 5 of Just Power is officially complete. And I've been sitting with it, really sitting with it for a few weeks now, because this season did something to me that I didn't fully anticipate. I came to it with a question, and if you've been listening, I've asked every single guest this question. What does a credible response to energy affordability actually look like right now? Right? And I thought I would find answers like smart policies or innovative financing, good programs. And I did. I heard lots of them. I'm sure you did too. But what I didn't expect, what became impossible to ignore by the time I finished my last conversation, was where those credible responses were coming from and where they weren't. Well, they weren't coming from Washington. They were not waiting on federal programs or policy windows or a budget line in a bill or a utility program. They were coming from people, specific people in specific places who looked at the problem in front of them and decided, I am not waiting, right? That is what this episode today is all about. It's not a summary of the season. Go back, listen. There were fantastic interviews, and you've heard the data. So this is my response to it, what I actually think about it, what changed for me in doing it, and what I believe it means for every single person listening to this right now. So first, number one, my first observation was this. When you hand over your power, you become as volatile as the system you handed it to. I want to say that carefully because I'm not making a political statement here. I am making a leadership observation. For decades, a lot of progress we have made in energy, in climate, in equity, a lot of it has been tied to federal funding, no doubt. Federal programs, mandates, and when that support is there, it is real and it matters and people's lives are better for it. So I am definitely not dismissing that. But here is what this season made very clear to me. When we build our work on the foundation of any external authority, government, a funding cycle, a policy window, an executive inside of a utility, we become as volatile as that authority. We become as volatile as that authority because when it shifts, you shift. When it retreats, you have to retreat. When it disappears, you're left scrambling. That personally happened to me. And right now, as we all know, it has shifted. It's shifted significantly. And federal funding for energy and climate programs has been pulled back. And you might be experiencing this personally for yourself. Programs that communities have depended on for years have been cut. 6 million people lost access to just one assistant program. That's not a statistic. That's 6 million people. And we've heard from a few of them in this series with Jennifer Greenert in episode 2. Please go back to that. That's like the real voices, the real deal. But here's what I also know. From the 25 years I've been working in environmental and sustainability communications and strategy, this has happened before. This has happened before. The energy crisis of the 70s, the rollbacks after the Recovery Act. Every time the federal pendulum swings away from this work, people panic. I did at the beginning. I really had that, even though I've been through it before. But then slowly, quietly, without waiting for permission, we get back to work. We get back to work. Because here's the truth. The most durable change that has never come from top down. Has never come from top down. It has always been built from the ground up by people who understood their leverage point and they used it. By leaders who did not need a federal mandate to know what the right thing was to do. Over and over again, this season proved that. So, my second observation is the people who didn't wait. I want to tell you about some of the people I sat with and some of my feelings and thoughts that I sat with this season, because I think the range of who they are is the whole point. It doesn't come from just one sector that we think it might come from. That's not true. It's happening inside places that you just didn't think could happen. And I highlighted that this season. Dewan, who runs the Solar Energy Loan Fund in Florida, otherwise known as SELF. So before energy affordability was a headline, they've been making loans to homeowners that conventional banks have turned away for years. People with no credit or low credit or credit that was damaged by a life occurrence, a divorce, a health diagnosis, an emergency. She helped build a 4-lane lending model so that everyone has a pathway, right? And in 13 years, they've been doing it, and their default rate has stayed under 2%. Yeah, 2% on loans the system said was too risky to make. And Dewan put it this way on the show. She said, what did those numbers prove? That the system is wrong. It has mislabeled a large group of people and just left them out. And Dewan didn't wait for the system to fix itself. She and the folks at SELF built around it very successfully. And then there was Jennifer Gremmert at Energy Outreach Colorado, right? She and I did something that sounds simple, but it's actually radical, right? We put the voices of real people in her community in Colorado front and center, not as a statistic, but as witnesses. And she's using those videos to build more momentum and to make the case, right? The people closest to the problem turned out to be the most powerful argument for solving it. And then we had on Eric Blank, and he chairs the Colorado Public Utilities Commission. And this is the cool part with Eric. He was instrumental in taking a financial tool called securitization, which mostly has only been used for closing coal plants, and applied it in a completely new way to protect ratepayers, you and I, from the cost of our aging grid, right? And the upgrades that we need to do. It's creative, it's specific, it's local, it's thinking out of the box, and he's using his authority he has in a way that no one's thought of before, right? And then we have Mina, right? She's the VP at Nicor Gas, a utility, right? Serving 2.3 million people, customers in Northern Illinois, right? And she's running a neighborhood pilot with Habitat for Humanity. There's that partnership to test what it actually costs for a family on a fixed income to own and operate a net zero home over 30 years. Breakthrough. I want to see those pilots fly, right? So the net zero isn't an aspiration here. Net zero is something a real family can actually afford to live in, right? And this is happening inside a utility. And then one of my favorite, I must say, was Utibi, right? She is the VP of Customer Experience at Dominion Energy, and Dominion is one of the largest utilities in the country. And she said something in our conversation that I am still pondering, and it still opens my heart. She talked about love, right? Love as a business strategy. Inside of a utility, love as a KPI. This wasn't a metaphor, not some values poster like on a wall next to an elevator that you see, but as an actual operational standard inside a utility for how her team shows up for customers who are struggling. And this is what she did. Really, it's like where the rubber meets the road. She put her call center agents on a live television during a brutal cold snap, taking real customer calls in real time. Talk about stepping out, right? And she said after that, I asked her, like, how did you do that, right? And what gave you the courage to do that? And she said, what you need to know is all that you built on game day happens months and years before when you build all season long, right? So she's been doing that, a VP inside of a major utility, talking about love as a KPI. It was one of the most powerful moments of the entire season, I must say, because that is not a federal program. It is not a policy mandate. That is a leader deciding what standard she was going to hold herself and her team to, and then building it day in, day out, conversation by conversation, before anybody is watching. A lender in Florida, a community advocate, a regulator getting creative with financial tools, a utility running a neighborhood pilot, a VP leading with love. This is everything that happened in this season. I hope you go back and listen to them. We have different sectors, different seats, different cities, but the same instinct. They were not waiting. They just did it. They did what was right. So my observation number 3 is it's up to us. And that is actually the good news. And I know, with that, I have to say this. I know that right now, a lot of people in this field, it feels like a hard time. I personally have had 2 contracts disintegrate before my eyes when the political environment changed, like overnight. I've talked to people who have lost their jobs, who've lost their funding, or a beloved program that they counted on. And when that happens, it feels like the ground has gone out from under you. I bet you've had that feeling before. But this is what I want to offer, right? I want to offer you a different frame, because I think that the retreat of federal support, as painful as it is, has revealed something important. It has shown us where the real power was all along. It was with the people doing the work. The Duans, the Minas, the Jennifers, the Utibis, the Bens, right? The commissioners who take their roadshow to the communities instead of waiting for the communities to come to them. The researchers who go inside the homes and give us the language for what energy insecurity actually is and actually feels like, which is what Dr. Diana Hernandez did. And the advocates who sit in rate case after rate case, year after year, making sure that the people who are most affected by the decisions have a seat at the table, like Jolette Westbrook and John Wilson. Woo! Big. The work does not stop when a federal pendulum swings. It actually moves. It gets more local. It gets more specific. It gets more creative. And honestly, based on what I heard this season, it gets more powerful. It gets more powerful. Because when you are not waiting for permission, when you, inside of yourself, build exactly, or you're free to build exactly what that moment requires, what the community in front of you actually needs right now. That is powerful. That is the leadership opportunity of this moment. And I genuinely believe that people, you, all of us that are listening to this podcast, are the people who will rise to it. And maybe that's you. I hope it's you. So what's next here? I want to tell you what's next for me. Here's what I've been doing with all of this. It's so rich. Here's what I'm doing. For the last year, I have been building something. It started with this question, the same question that drove this entire season, and it became a framework. And the framework is becoming a training. Leading Through Energy Affordability Training is a program for leaders and emerging leaders in this space. Utility professionals, researchers, advocates, communicators, community leaders, I think I said that already, who want to go deeper. Not just understand the crisis, but develop the skills, the strategic literacy, the communication tools to lead through it from wherever they stand with whatever leverage they have. So everything I heard this season, the 5 patterns that kept showing up across all of the conversation, that is the foundation that's being built right here in this training. Because this is not abstract. This is the work. And there is a real tools for doing it better. Okay? So if you're interested in being among the first to know about it when it launches, there's a link in the show notes. Go there. It takes 30 seconds and you'll be on the list. And I'll give you early access, early pricing, and even a chance to interact with me directly and get your input. I'm excited about that. But this is a moment I want to take because to every guest that has been on my show for this season, I want to thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of everyone that's listening from the bottom of my heart. You are the ones on the front line that are making the change. And to you, my dear listeners, thank you for being part of this conversation. It matters more than you know. And I hope you subscribed to Just Power. That matters more than you know. It's huge for us. I hope you were inspired by this season, inspired to do your part in this corner of the world. So thank you for all that. And I'm Carolyn Parrs. This is Just Power. And as always, we are all in this together. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to Just Power wherever you get your podcasts. And if you really loved it, leave us a review and tell everyone you know about our podcast. It's going to take all of us to create a clean energy future that leaves no one behind.